Good day and welcome back to Papa Joe's Trains and Toys. Last video's train trivia. The world's largest model railroad is in Hamburg, Germany. It's really big. I've seen lots of videos on it. This video's train trivia: who is the first American president to switch from steam to diesel locomotives? Stay tuned for the next video for the answer. Okay, so it's a Sunday morning. I have a little bit of time before football starts, and I'm still waiting on my push pins to come in so that I can continue laying cork road bed down before getting it all glued in place. So I thought I would at least get a little bit of something done today. In the next hour or so, I have wire here. It's a stranded 14 gauge single conductor. Got 100 foot of black, 100 foot of red. Got some connectors. I'm not sure exactly where or what I'm going to do with those yet. I do know that I want these benches to be modular, so I'm going to have to figure out somewhere at the break of each table on how I'm going to make the wire go from one side to the other. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and climb underneath the layout and run this wire through the holes that I've pre-drilled, leaving a lot of excess behind so that when I go to actually get everything in place and wire things together, it'll be done properly. I also have this 18 gauge solid wire for my drop feeders, 50 feet of each, black and red, which should be more than enough, I hope. If not, I may be ordering more wire somewhere down the road or going out to one of the local electrical stores here. So I'm going to go ahead and get situated underneath the table, and I'll show you what I'm doing. Well, there's a lot of stuff underneath my tables here, but I did position the camera so that you could see some things. My real goal today is to not per se run all of it. I just want to run some things and see how everything goes. I do want feeder wires going around the inside and outside loops, so that means I'm gonna need bus wires. All I'm doing is taking the two wires and feeding them through from hole to hole, and leaving the spools here on the ground. They're actually feeding pretty well. Hopefully that'll continue to go the way I want it to, because I would like this to be a continual loop all the way around the track. I haven't quite exactly decided on where I want my DCC station to be. I guess that's something down the line that I really need to put some thought into, on where the most convenient location is going to be. So with that being said, I'm going to crawl under here for a little bit, get some of this wire done. I will show you. Let's see here. Let me pull that wire. Let's see how much is left over. So I want to leave about this much so that I have some play without having to do too much splicing. So we'll see how things go. So the underside of model railroading that nobody likes to talk about very often, running wire. Not only running wire, but this is the joint between, well, really 3 tables. That's what I was talking about earlier. I'm running this bus wire, but eventually, here at this break, I need something on the inside and the other side, the cables to plug into, that I can unplug so that when I unbolt the tables and move them, it'll be easy. A little out of breath. Crawling around down here is not exactly an easy task, but I'm getting it done, and everything's coming together pretty well. Okay, so I did a lot this last week off camera, but I did take some still shots. It's a lot of tedious work, like cutting lengths of wire, stripping them down, bending the ends the right way, drilling the holes on either side of each piece of track, feeding the wires down, getting the tips bent over and ready for soldering. Like I said, it was kind of a tedious task. It needed to be done. I got it done, but I wanted to listen to music the whole time, so that's what I did. You can see the drop feeders before soldering. They're just up out of the track a little bit, so when I get around to each one, I can push them down and line them the right way on the side of the rail so it doesn't interfere with any trains going by. Okay, so I've gotten the track 1 and 2, which is the inner 2 tracks, all glued down. Drop feeders are in place. I've already soldered them. My soldering is very amateurish, so I was not going to do a video on that. But I am going to show you the tools of the trade that I have picked up before I climb underneath the layout today and start wiring things. I am big on cable management, and I have a plethora of different connectors and zip ties and things that will make my life easier. So just so that you're aware, I'm using solid core for my drop feeders, using stranded 14 gauge for my bus wires, and of course I have a couple of different sets of needle nose, a couple of files, some dikes, soldering iron, which is temperature adjustable. It also has a hot gun attachment to it that's actually sitting over there because it was getting in my way. Lead-free solder, flux paste, sponge, brass solder iron cleaner, an extra set of helping hands. So I have some bus connectors. I don't even know what to call these blocks, where a lot of the wires are going to feed in and then 1 or 2 will feed out to other places. I have red and blue suitcase connectors for hot and cold. I have some 3M sticky pads that also came with screws if you don't want to use the sticky pads for cable management, along with the zip ties. I have my normal zip ties. I have a bunch of twist ties that came with various products. Yeah, cheap pair of wire strippers and crimpers. And then these 2 items I got recently on Amazon. It's Cooljet 200-piece lever nut kits, and they come in different sizes. 1-to-1, where you could bring in a bunch and 1 out or several out. It depends on what you want to do. There's 200 plus pieces in here. And then I also got this set. What this does is you can crimp this over whatever wire that you're wanting to do. Crimp the wire, another wire into the hole here, and then they plug in to the initial connector. And it actually has your colors depending on what gauge you're using. And hopefully it'll work out well. I did build a new bench. Well, not really a bench, a shelf underneath the layout for my power and my Digitrax DCS 210 Plus to sit on so that things are organized and out of the way. I've got wires upon wires, drop feeders, and I'm going to be climbing underneath. I'll probably do one or two as a demonstration using suitcase connectors today to give you an idea of this process. But it's definitely going to be a process. The only things I don't really have done on the inner two loops is I have not glued down the switches or done any drop feeders on the switches yet. I don't want to do that until I test the rest of the track. And once that's done, I also have to install my Tortoise switch machines. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here, climb underneath the layout, and show you guys how to use the suitcase connectors. So I'll be right back. All right, so I'm underneath the layout. As you can see, it's a little bit of a tight fit. These wires are a little pulled down from where they should be. So we have two sets of drop feeders here that I'm wanting to connect. And so we're just going ahead and get right at it. Just so you know, I've never done this before. It's the first time I'll be using these. So we'll see how well this works. Honestly, I have no idea. So I know I need to get this in there because I don't want to cut the wires. Might have gotten too small a suitcase connectors. Well, this will make the blooper reel, that's for sure. Well, hell. This might not be as easy as I thought it was going to be. Might end up using a whole lot of those other connectors versus this. We'll see if I can get this in here or not. There we go. Now you're in there where you belong. Okay. So it's got this little flap here. I've gotten the main bus wire in. Connect the other wire. It should go. Only goes in so far, I guess. Okay. And all you do, there we go. Just take the pliers, use a needle nose, and you crimp down on that little silver piece, and it's going to cut into the two wires. Make sure it's nice and tight on both sides, and you'll know if it's not tight enough because the suitcase connector won't close properly. And it closed. So I think, nope, didn't make it all the way through. Okay, it was not as easy as I thought it was going to be, but it's there and it's done. Hopefully this won't be as hard for all of them. We'll see here. Wondering if I need to go get a screwdriver to get these wires in here the way I want, so that doesn't happen. But again, beginner channel for beginners. So maybe pay attention to what gauge suitcase connectors you're buying on Amazon. There we go. All right. Probably should have a flathead screwdriver just for you guys' reference. Again, crimp. Make sure you get it crimped all the way down. Might get a different pair of pliers while I'm out getting that screwdriver. No, we'll see. All right. Hopefully that'll go all the way over this time. There we go. All right, so that's 2 done. I have about 40 left to go today. But when it's said and done, these will eventually get tied up with cable ties so that everything is up, so that it'll be easier to climb underneath the layout to do other things. So I'm gonna put a clear picture of the suitcase connectors with the wires installed but not closed yet, so you can see what they actually look like. All right, so I'm underneath the layout and I'm trying to decide what I actually want to do. DCS 210, which is going to provide the DCC signal to the track. Good old instruction manual, because I'm going to have to look some stuff up here in a little bit. But I also have these jumper boxes, which I want to feed everything in, whether it's negative or a positive one. I have several of these. So I'm going to feed all my wires into the bottom row and then take one out into here, so that I'm only having to deal with one wire going in and out, which that's all it's set up for anyway. So I need to consolidate everything down to the one wire. I can do a programming track. I don't know what I'm going to do yet exactly. I just know I want all the suitcase connectors, all my drop feeders for track 1 and 2 are done. So this is the next logical step, is to decide where to put these. And I'm thinking, at first I wanted them there, but that's where the fascia board's going to go, and some switches and lights will need to go there. So I'm trying to decide if I want to do them here, because I don't think I want to go up. I want to be able to see them easily. So I think I'm going to go here, which is going to require me to do a little bit of drilling, a little bit of screwing, and hooking up some wires. Now, you couldn't even see that. So what I was talking about was putting them up here versus up on the plywood itself. And to combat the problem of having screws, and then of course I have stranded wire, I do have these little connectors that I'm going to try and use to bring the wires into that power junction. I wanted to show you what I was up to under here. I did go back earlier and used a regular pair of pliers to crimp the suitcase connectors, and a flathead screwdriver to spread it open to get the wires in. I've gotten both inner tracks done, and the tunnel track drop feeders that I put in yesterday are also done. So now the next time I have to climb under here to do those, it's only going to be like, I don't know, 3/4 of the outer 2 tracks, and then of course the yard later on. But that's where I'm at the moment, and hopefully here soon might have a train running. I don't know. We'll see later on. All right, time for me to get after it. All right. Well, here's the true test. We have our first trains actually working, which is very nice. I did not think it would go this quickly, and it has. I do still have to set up a programming track though, so I can change addresses and things, but everything's working pretty well. Got bells, got whistles, could turn off the noise. Got the Bachman special. Yep. Had a short somewhere. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Pretty sure it's in the switches that aren't glued down, so. But other than that, they're not powered either, so other than the rail joiners, which is doing pretty well. Figured I'd give you guys a little bit of a taste. I'm happy.